welcome to the Cultivating Calmness Podcast. My name is 𝗘𝗽𝗵𝗀𝗀, and today I want to talk a little bit about censorship. And the reason I want to talk about censorship is because my business and the things that I stand for and the things that I find important in my life, I have been experiencing censorship for years, but specifically related to my business, I have been experiencing since we went live with my new business, 𝗘𝗽𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗇 on January 1st of 2024 this year. We have been experiencing censorship in many different ways. And it depends on who you ask. Some people are well aware of the censorship that is going on. Some people have never heard of this and are, didn't know these types of things happened. And for me, I've always been aware that these things have happened to other people, have only kind of sort of experienced that maybe on a personal level when I would post certain topics or certain opinions about things. And I would witness other people and their businesses be censored by any number of companies or social media platforms for various reasons, but never really fully experienced it myself. But since starting my business and switching names from 𝗘𝗽𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 to 𝗘𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀 on, again, January 1st of this year, we have been experiencing various forms of censorship. And one of the big ones was just last week when we went to post our this podcast on all of our platforms. They wouldn't post. And actually the account that we use to post all of these videos was shut down or permanently suspended on Facebook. So the account that we used was what it was called was permanently suspended, and we were able to file an appeal. And it has happened before, but and those appeals would very quickly go through. This time it was unclear whether it would go through and we would get the account back or not. And so we had to scramble to try to get things posted and find other ways of doing that. And it did eventually get reversed and we were able to get the account back. But in that process, we were kind of able to, piece together what may have happened. And from all of the facts that we can gather, it did appear that Facebook took part, but also the social media management platform that we use to post all of these videos. I do live book readings and these podcasts. It seems that they almost immediately recognized the content in the video from last week, and it flagged the video, and that's how all of that started. It flagged the video, wouldn't let it post, and then Facebook shut down the account. And we also experienced this in our email accounts. So again, my company is the same. It's still currently just me. Eventually I'd like to hire more employees, and I wanted to make the transition from focusing on trauma and grief counseling to holistic trauma and grief counseling, because I personally practice holistic health, and I agree with functional medicine and holistic mental health on a very high level, and I advocate for those types of healing with all of my clients. So I wanted to shift that focus with my new business. So in January, we switched from 𝗘𝗪𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 to 𝗘𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗀 from the one email to the other. So nothing really changed other than the name. So, and when in doing so, we noticed a drastic drop in the amount of people that opened our emails, read our emails, or even saw our emails. And we were able to tell that because when you send out emails and you have platforms, you are able to track certain things within the email. You can track the links within the email to see if an email has been opened, viewed, if certain links have been clicked, how many times they've been clicked. if they have clicked through on different items. And so we have all those statistics, and we're able to look at all those things. And like I said, the numbers dropped drastically. And so I've had to post on my social media that, hey, check your spam folders. And many of the people that attend my events, my colleagues, will be like, hey, I don't get your emails anymore. And I have to say, check your spam folder, because they're probably in there. And what do you know? My emails are going to their spam folders. I now have to worry about that with my clients, because they will send me messages through my website, 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝘀𝗀𝘀. And if they want to have a consultation, they fill out a little form, and then I will in turn usually respond with an email. And I respond and say, hey, thank you for reaching out, blah, 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 blah. Here's the link to sign up for a consultation. And then I wait for people to sign up for a consultation or to call me back. And in the last couple months, I don't get very many follow-throughs with those emails. And I'm assuming most of them go to people's spam. I don't know about you, but I don't check my spam folder that often. I now do. And most of the stuff in my spam folder is either spam or emails that I don't really pay attention to, technically aren't spam, but they are going there. And the conclusion that we have come to because of that, after a lot of trial and error, is that when certain words are said in the emails, that they end up being blocked or sent to spam rather than sent to somebody's inbox. And we initially thought maybe it was some stuff in the background, technical stuff that I know nothing about. So my business manager knows all about that. My business manager, who is my husband, and he knows all about the tech world and all tech stuff, and he looked into everything, called the people he needed to call and figured out, what was happening and not happening, and got that kind of figured out. And even through all of that, it's still happening. So the conclusion that we can come to, based on the trial and error and all, fixing all the kinks, is that when you say certain things, certain people or powers that be do not like what you have to say. And so when you work in the holistic community or holistic health, in any way, you are probably aware of this censorship. So I really wanted to kind of also talk about, what is censorship? If you've never considered that the information that you're hearing is being given to you, or that you're hearing it for a certain reason, it's time to consider that. That certain material, certain information is pushed forward for you to hear, and other information is either blocked, prevented, or strategically made so that it is not forthcoming and does not come up readily compared to the other information that is wanted. That happens a lot in holistic health. A lot of the things we talk about is natural healing, and things that are not related to taking medications, or that are related to the three-letter word government agencies such as the CDC or the FDA, making certain recommendations. Natural healing tends to not follow those recommendations for various reasons. And when you don't follow those recommendations, or your beliefs or strategies don't necessarily follow along with those things in exactly the way they want you to follow them, your information is blocked or censored. So when you look up the definition of censorship, now what I didn't do is I didn't go back, and I don't actually know how to do this, but I know other people do know how to do this. If you go, I have not gone back to look at whether the definition of censorship has changed in the last 5 years, 10 years, or longer. And if you have paid attention to the news or social media, you may have noticed that certain words have changed definitions in the last 5 years. There are certain words that I'm not going to say on here that have changed. The definition of them have changed even in the last 3 or 4 years. And that is important. If a definition of something changes, it changes what we know that thing is. And it makes you believe that it's always been that way, when it probably hasn't always been that way. So when you look up censorship, the simple definition is that it's blocking something from being read, heard, or seen. Okay, and that means to review something and to choose to remove or hide parts of it that are considered unacceptable. My question is, who defines what is unacceptable? Now, when I went to the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition, it defines censor as a person or official who examines materials for objectionable matter or deletes material considered sensitive or harmful. Now, again, in the holistic community and people who maybe challenge popular belief, we often see these types of warnings using certain words like that this is harmful information or that this is misinformation. You will see those types of statements on social media if you make a post or a story that has information in it that certain powers or certain people deem to be inaccurate or misinformation. Does that mean that the information is actually not true? In my opinion, no, it doesn't. I often have posted truthful information and on my personal page, and it comes back being blocked and said that there's going to be a warning on here that this is false information. When it's not false information. You can look up the information if you want to. You could find where the information that I share is truthful, factual information, except it doesn't agree with what certain people want it to be. That doesn't make something not true. Just because I don't believe a certain thing doesn't mean that it's not true. And that's the kind of slippery slope that we are facing here. We can be saying truthful things that certain people don't like, and that means your information is going to be blocked or prevented. That affects my business, it affects other people's business, and we constantly have to find creative ways of getting around censorship and trying to find things ways of saying things differently, so that if a certain social media platform can analyze your video or what you're saying or what you're posting, in a split second, that it's not going to determine that what you're saying is harmful, hurtful, inaccurate, or unacceptable. And I just wanted to, come here today and to just share a little bit about that is stuff that I am dealing with in the background. That is something that a lot of people that I follow, a lot of other maybe therapists or creatives or holistic health professionals in some way, shape, or form may be experiencing, and you don't often hear about it. And I have mentioned this. I posted on my personal page about how one of our accounts was permanently suspended, and I had numerous comments kind of asking like, why? How does that happen? What do you mean? What does that have to do with anything? Why would they do that? And so a lot of people out there are really unaware that this happens to people like me, my colleagues and my friends, and people in the holistic health or medical freedom movement. So I believe in medical freedom. I believe that you're allowed to believe what you want. You're allowed to put what you want in your body, just as I'm allowed to put what I want in my body. So if I decline to have something forcibly put into my body, I can do that. And if you choose that you want those things, you can go ahead and choose to do those things. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to advocate for health or to inform you of the decision that you're making and how maybe I believe that it is maybe not the best, but you are free to make that choice. And I am free to provide you with that information if I so choose. And you can choose to listen to it and heed any warnings, or you can choose to ignore it and not heed any warnings. That is completely up to you. That is what medical freedom is all about. And it's also about informed consent and informed, choices, which you often don't get. And I could talk about this for hours and hours, so I'm going to leave it at that today. But just thinking about censorship and asking yourself, is the information that I'm hearing all of the truthful information, or is this just the information that certain people, maybe the platform that you're listening to something on, wants me to hear? So thank you for joining me today. I hope you follow me. Check your spam folders or search for me if you aren't seeing my podcast, if you aren't seeing my social media posts or my emails, if you are on my email list, because I might be going to your spam folder because of censorship. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you again next week. Have a wonderful rest of your day.